When I refused to be my sister's servant, my mom threw a plate at me. That night I walked out for good. Now they're begging me to return. The plate missed my eye by less than an inch. It exploded against the wall behind me. Ceramic shattering, sauce splattering, my mother's scream echoing in the kitchen. And when I touched my cheek and saw blood on my fingers, I realized something. I wasn't their son, I was their servant, and that night I stopped being both. If you've ever been treated like the invisible one, the workhorse, the child who sacrifices while someone else gets the crown, this story is going to hit hard. So hit that like button, subscribe, and settle in, because this isn't just a revenge story. It's about what happens when the quiet one finally decides he's done being quiet. My name is Daniel, and in my house I didn't exist unless something was broken. Sprinkler system flooding the lawn? Daniel, like groceries need hauling? Daniel, Isabella forgot to submit an assignment? Daniel, call the teacher and fix it. Isabella, my younger sister, the golden child. If she breathed, my mother, Claudia, clapped. If she blinked, my father, Victor, financed it. Meanwhile, I was the mule. You know that feeling when you walk into a room and conversation doesn't stop, but it doesn't shift to include you either? That was my entire childhood. Dinner conversations revolved around Isabella's dance recitals, Isabella's fashion blog, Isabella's stress. Meanwhile, I was working part-time after school and handing over half my paycheck because family helps family, but family didn't help me, they used me. It wasn't one big dramatic moment, it was small things. My mother calling me from my room to refill Isabella's water, my father handing me a wrench without looking up from the TV, Isabella snapping her fingers once when she couldn't find her phone charger. I remember the first time I realized it wasn't normal. My friend Ethan came over once and watched my sister toss her car keys at me. "Can you fill the tank? I'm late." I caught them automatically. Ethan blinked at me and whispered, "Dude, are you her boyfriend? Or her butler?" I laughed it off. But that night I lay in bed staring at the ceiling thinking, why did I laugh? Why didn't I say no? Because saying no in my house was an act of war. It was a Tuesday, nothing special. Pasta, garlic bread, Isabella complaining about her internship being emotionally draining. I just come back from a 10-hour shift covering for a coworker. My back ached. My hands were raw from lifting. "Daniel," my mom said casually, not even looking at me. "After dinner, you need to go fix Isabella's car. The engine light is on." I paused mid-bite. "I'm exhausted." The fork froze halfway to my mouth. The table went silent. "What did you say?" Victor asked slowly. "I said, I'm exhausted. I can look at it tomorrow." Isabella rolled her eyes. "Oh my God, it's not that hard. You're being dramatic." Something inside my chest tightened. For years I had swallowed it. But that night, I was tired, not just physically. "I'm not fixing it," I said, calm, measured. The sound that came out of my mother wasn't anger. It was disbelief. "How dare you speak like that in my house?" "Your house, not our house." I looked at her, really looked at her. "When was the last time Isabella fixed something for me?" I asked quietly. That's when it happened. The plate lifted from her hand so fast I didn't register it. Then, impact. Ceramic shattered against the wall. Something sliced my cheek. Sauce dripped down my collar. Isabella gasped. Victor stood up so abruptly his chair scraped across tile like a scream. "You ungrateful boy," my mother shouted. Boy. I was 23. Blood trickled warm down my face, and suddenly, I felt nothing. No rage, no shock, just clarity. I walked to the bathroom, locked the door, stared at myself in the mirror, red line across my cheek, sauce in my hair, eyes empty, and I whispered to my reflection, "I'm done." I didn't leave that night. That's what they expected. Drama, yelling, explosion. Instead, I apologized. Soft voice, head down. I shouldn't have talked back. You could see the relief wash over them, the control restored. But something had shifted. I started documenting everything. Photos of the cut, audio recordings of arguments, screenshots of text messages demanding money. I opened a separate bank account, redirected my paychecks, saved every dollar. I pretended to fix Isabella's car the next day. I smiled at dinner. I became the obedient mule again. But inside, I was counting. Mr. Henrik Dahl lived next door, retired, quiet, observant. One evening while I was taking trash out, he caught sight of the fading scar. Your mother throws things often? He asked bluntly. I froze. He had seen. Apparently the kitchen window had been open that night. He heard the shouting, the crash. He gave me a look that wasn't pity. It was understanding. Son, he said, you don't owe anyone your dignity. That sentence echoed in my skull for weeks. He later wrote a statement, unprompted, describing what he witnessed and previous incidents of shouting and objects thrown. I hadn't even asked. Someone believed me. For the first time, someone saw me. After my grandfather passed, I found letters he'd written me years ago, but my mother had forgotten to give me. In them, he encouraged me to pursue engineering, to leave, to build. He had noticed too. I hope one day you live somewhere the air feels lighter, one line read. I held that letter like a map. Seattle? That was the city he once told me about. Opportunity, tech jobs, fresh starts. So I made a decision, not just to leave, but to leave clean. I met Matteo Rossi at work. He managed operations, calm, sharp. One day he noticed me staying late again. You're not sleeping, he observed. I surprised myself by telling him everything. Not dramatically, just facts. He didn't flinch. You're planning to leave, he said. Yes? Good, do it strategically. He helped me polish my resume. Connected me with a contact in Seattle, taught me about tenant rights and documentation. He didn't tell me to forgive. He didn't tell me to endure. He told me to prepare. 6 months after the plate incident, I had enough saved. A job offer secured, apartment lined up, evidence organized. The night I left, I packed a single duffel bag. Scar faint, but still visible. At dinner, my mother complained about the rising utility bill. Daniel, you need to pick up extra shifts. I actually stood. I won't be here. Silence. What does that mean? Victor demanded. It means I'm leaving. Isabella laughed. Stop being dramatic. I placed copies of witness statements and photos on the table. If you contact me to harass or threaten me, I'll file charges for assault. My mother's face drained of color. You wouldn't. I already did. Because that morning, I had. Report filed, documentation submitted. This wasn't revenge through screaming, it was revenge through truth. I walked to the door. No one stopped me. For the first time in my life, no one ordered me to stay. Legal notices arrived within weeks. Mr. Dahl's testimony carried weight. Medical documentation of the cut, audio recordings of verbal abuse, the narrative my family had built, the ungrateful son, the dramatic exaggeration, began to crack. Friends started asking questions, extended relatives heard. Reputation matters to people like Claudia and Victor, and suddenly, they were the ones explaining. Isabella's internship supervisor quietly distanced herself after rumors of household instability surfaced. Victor's business partner expressed concern over temper issues. Consequences, not explosive, but steady, like gravity finally turning on. I arrived in Seattle with 2 bags and a job offer. The air really did feel lighter. First paycheck that stayed in my account. First night in an apartment where silence wasn't heavy. I bought my own dishes, and when one slipped from my hand and shattered accidentally on the floor, I didn't flinch. I laughed. Because no one was going to throw one at me again. 3 months later, my phone buzzed. Mom, decline. Dad, decline. Text from Isabella. We need you. Things are falling apart. I stared at the scar in the mirror, that thin pale line across my cheek. Physical proof I hadn't imagined it. Another message came. Please come home. Home. That word had never meant safety. I typed one sentence like, I already am. Blocked. And in that moment, the weight I'd carried for years, responsibility that was never mine, slid off my shoulders. It wasn't about destroying them. It was about refusing to carry them. People call it revenge, but revenge is about hurting someone back. This was reclamation. Sometimes justice isn't loud. Sometimes it's just walking away with proof and never looking back. If this story hit you, if you've ever been the invisible one, the scapegoat, the family workhorse, drop a comment below. I read them. Hit like if you believe dignity isn't negotiable, and subscribe for more stories where the quiet ones stop being quiet and karma finally clocks in for work. Until next time.